Dollar. Dirt on money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack and flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yep, what's good, original crew, man? We're back. We have a Mr. Ballen. Don't think we've done this one before. Hopefully we haven't done this before. If we have, it'll be a pointless video y'all won't even be able to see. But we got the disturbing jungle photos. No one can explain. We haven't did this right.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. So, man, with that being said, man, before we get into it, have you ever thought about going to the jungle?
No.
Like, you never thought about going out to the wilderness? I looked up jungle. We ain't did nothing jungle. Never thought about going into the wilderness and nothing?
I mean, no. Not for real. Not like, no.
What if you get lost in the jungle? Do you think you would know how to survive? She said, I have no survival skills.
Yes, I do. I have survival. No. That's not
you
what
know
I
how to
was
start a
like.
fire?
Yeah, we learned that. You want me to tell you something? I know I always.
Let's just go ahead and get into it. Cause what you finna no. That little Girl Scout bullshit. Shut the hell up. I was in Boy Scout. I ain't learned nothing but selling popcorn.
That was y'all.
I ain't get too fussy about it. And all you learned was selling some cookies.
Nah, baby. Our folks was teaching us stuff.
Teach you out.
Life skills.
All right, so when we go out, I'm gonna have you go out tomorrow, and you're gonna start a fire from no matches.
Where my? Come on.
She's like, where I'm gonna do this?
I know. I'm saying where at here.
Yeah, you can go start a fire with nothing.
Okay, baby.
Just go outside, get some leaves, get some. Put your knowledge to the test, then, Miss Girl Scout. How many years you do?
A lot. I learned
a lot of lies.
No.
How many years?
A good bit.
A good bit of what?
A good bit of years.
A good bit of lies.
No, babe.
You said a bitty cookies to stay here anyway.
You said what?
You said a bitty cookies.
Okay, this is not about that. Come on. The disturbing jungle photos. No one can explain.
I ain't see no badges or nothing. That's honor. Your mama probably threw the bullshit away. Hey, man, with that being said, before we get into it, make sure you check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go. If you want the first support, all you got to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals,
lock it in with a thumbs up. Ain't got no respect for a sister.
The sister be lying.
Sister not lying.
Sister in line. I can't go out there and do shit. I'm gonna have to win.
What part am I lying about? Know how to start the fire?
Anything out in the wilderness. You probably don't even know how to go catch no fish.
Oh, I do know how to catch fish.
Yeah, if you got a fishing rod. Let's go. Let's check it out.
No, I used to go fishing a lot. I do know how to catch fish.
I said not with a fishing rod. I'm saying, would you be able to go catch a fish without fishing?
What tools I have? Just my bare hands?
Yeah, you go in there.
And I gotta jump. Rest of that.
You go. Let's go, man. Let's check it out. Let's see what's about. You ready?
Yeah.
But it's the state that the remains were found in, and some of the other things that were found in conjunction with these remains that raise a lot of questions. Hey, what's going on, guys? Mr. Ballen here. You probably know me from TikTok, where I am known for telling scary stories and talking about unsolved mysteries and true crime. But if you are not coming from TikTok, and I'm starting to see a trend that actually a lot of people are just finding me on YouTube, which is really cool. I was a Navy SEAL for a couple of years. I was actually medically retired in 2017. And I started making content about...
He do look like he one of the motherfuckers. Yeah. Do he not?
Thank you for your service, Mr. Ballen.
Do he not, though?
Oh, yeah, just...
He do look like one of them. I got a couple homies like that.
Retired in 2017. And I started making content about my military experience, mostly on Instagram. And then I joined TikTok in the early part of this year. And at some point, I just wanted to try something new and wanted to try a different content style. So I posted about an unsolved mystery, which is the Dyatlov Pass incident. It's about a bunch of hikers that disappeared in the mountains of in Russia, and no one really knows why. And it takes off, and it's something that I just am really interested in. I think unsolved mysteries are fascinating. I find myself almost as a hobby researching this stuff, and it was cool to finally have a place where I could actually create content around unsolved mysteries and true crime and kind of scary stuff. And TikTok was the place. But what I'm trying to do is transition over to YouTube, where I can tell longer versions of these stories and get a little bit more in depth. And so I have committed to posting at least one of these types of videos on YouTube a week. And I hope that you will subscribe and you will follow along, because right now my YouTube skills are very low. Admittedly, I'm pretty good at TikTok. I'm pretty bad at YouTube, but I'm going to get better. I would also love it if you guys have suggestions for videos that you pass them my way, either in the comments of the video, or you can shoot me a DM on Instagram. My handle is John B. Allen416, so John Ballen416. Shoot me a DM and I'd love to hear your feedback. So today we're going to talk about one of the more well-known unsolved mysteries, and it is the very strange disappearance of two college students from the Netherlands who go to Panama, and they've saved up all this money to go on this trip. Like, they were working in a cafe for the 6 months leading up to this trip that they were going to finance mostly themselves. They had mapped out all these different places they're going to go in Panama. It was going to be like part vacation, part like mission trip, where they were going to be helping out with different charities in the different villages they go to, but also enjoying the travel. These girls were very close. They were highly intelligent. They were just wonderful, smart people. And they were really excited about this trip. And they go to Panama, and the first couple weeks go without incident.
My bad. Did that feel good or did it hurt?
Do this one.
I won't even try.
Maybe I'm locked up.
I'm saying, does it feel good though?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, y'all. I popped a finger, not even try. I just twisted. I had grabbed it though. I just said, grab your finger.
You just did it.
And it feel good.
They've been locked up. I ain't been able to, especially this one.
I ain't gonna. I
This
told you you was going to the
Sorry, baby,
chiropractor.
come on. He did.
So-
He popped them for me a few times.
Sorry, y'all.
And at some point, things take a very significant turn for the worst. And so let's dive in. On March 15th, 2014, Chris Kremers and Lisanne Vroon, who were both Dutch college students, head to Panama for a 6-week-long part vacation, part charitable giving trip. They had mapped out these 6 weeks really diligently. They planned to do lots of traveling and exploring, and then also they were going to be working with different charities along the way as they went all over Panama. And they were really excited about it. They had even worked for the 6 months leading up to this trip at a cafe to raise additional money for this trip. So March 15th, they arrive in Panama. The first 2 weeks they're there go beautifully. They do some traveling, they're working with different charities, and everything is going to plan. And then by the second week, they arrive in a little town called Boquete, and they stay at this hostel. So that's like a group living situation. It's pretty common amongst travelers all over the world, where to save money, you'll crash at these like almost like dorms where other travelers and people will stay in the same room as you. 2 weeks in, they're in Boquete and they're living in this hostel. So on April 1st, they're in Boquete and they want to go on this fairly significant hike, which is going to be around this massive volcano called the Baru volcano. Up near, I guess, the summit of the volcano, there was this amazing overlook where if you climbed up to it, you could get a beautiful 360-degree view of the entire area. Vroon and Kremers decide they want to go hike up to that overlook. They were experienced hikers, but realistically, I don't think they were taking this hike particularly seriously. It was a hike that was traditionally a guided hike, meaning usually you went and did this with a local who could make sure you didn't leave the path or, fall where you didn't know there was a cliff or something. They opt to do this on their own. So they head out and they bring the hostel owner had a dog, and they decide to bring that dog along with them. It was a very friendly dog. So Kremers, Vroon, and the dog head off for this hike up this volcano. They had a digital camera with them, in addition to water, and they had their phones, they had all the different kind of basic supplies. They had a camera, and so this is important because they take a bunch of pictures as they begin this journey. So that night, the dog returns to the hostel, but the girls aren't with the dog, and so this alerts the owners of the hostel. But they search the area, like I guess the immediate area, for the girls. They can't find them. And they decide, we'll just wait until the morning and see if they turn up. The next morning, they don't turn up. Additionally, the parents of the girls, they were used to getting very regular text messages from these girls to kind of let them know that everything was okay. And the text messages stopped. And so that alerted the parents as well by the second day after they've gone missing. And so authorities are alerted. Search crews were organized on foot for the first day. So April 2nd, there are search crews all over the place looking for these girls. Can't find anything. The next day, they set up aerial search teams. They're scouring the jungle looking for signs of these girls. No sign of them. The search continues. And then on April 6th, the parents of Kremers and Froon, they arrive in Panama. They immediately offer a $30,000 reward for any information about their daughters, which is a ton of money in Panama. It's roughly equivalent to about $500,000 in a developed country. I mean, with $30,000 US in Panama, I mean, you could buy land, you could buy a house, you could start a business. I mean, this is big money. And considering many people, especially in that area, were day laborers that were working for like less than $10 a day. I mean, you would think that type of reward for just information about these girls would incite hundreds of people to just on their own go looking for these girls. And if you consider too that, I mean, this is a small town. I mean, news travels fast. This is the area they probably grew up in. They know the area really well. The idea that with an amazing incentive, the financial incentive, and just the fact that they know this area really, really well, it was odd that nothing was turning up. There were no leads coming in. 3 months go by.
Or is it possibly they possibly didn't care because they were tourists?
Yeah.
But it's still a money incentive. So
you would think that they would like push people.
Somebody,
or,
a few
something.
people, yeah. But it could be one factor that they're not local, so they
or people
don't
really
care.
just didn't.
Nah. It's either one, or it's three things. They know what happened. Nobody's gonna tell because they're trying to protect somebody.
Mm-hmm.
2, they don't care because they're not locals.
Yeah.
But it's very hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very hard when you got the financial that can possibly set you, or fear. Well, fear would go back to the one because the one of y'all know what happened, but y'all could be afraid or trying to protect someone.
We're trying to protect, yeah.
So, but I just don't. With the money being that high of a reward, you would think it's like.
Someone
would be like, okay, like that's intriguing. That amount of money, that can
like
really change my life.
If you like know something, like try to do it in secret. Like, hey, I have information.
But in a country like that, if you come up on that amount of money, people gonna know.
True.
So.
Yeah.
And there is not a sign of these girls anywhere. They have vanished. There's no leads. Nothing's been found. Obviously at this point, the family and investigators at this point have pretty much accepted that they're probably deceased at this point, but they're looking for them. They want to know what happened. And a local woman finds Froon's backpack, her blue backpack, 5 miles away from where the girls were supposedly hiking, or where they had intended to hike. Navigating a jungle is exceptionally difficult. Even with the right equipment, even knowing what you're doing, the travel is so slow. Cutting through the growth on the ground, there's animals to contend with, there's even though it's incredibly moist, and there's lots of moisture in a jungle, the water oftentimes can't be drank. So the risk of dehydration is really high. The jungle that they were in was incredibly mountainous. And so in addition to just navigating a jungle, you're dealing with pretty significant elevation changes. I mean, it is a treacherous place to be navigating, absolutely treacherous. And for them to have moved 5 miles through dense jungle it's incredible. That is almost unbelievable. But nonetheless, their backpack is found, 5 miles away. In addition, the woman who found the backpack, she was a local woman, and she said, I'm out in this area a fair amount, and I've not seen this backpack. I saw it today, and I picked it up and reported it. But it just means that the backpack probably had not been sitting there for very long. It had been probably placed there within the past couple of days, let's say, which doesn't really provide that much clarity, but it adds to the kind of intrigue around what actually happened. So the backpack was in great condition, and everything inside the backpack was very neatly kind of placed. It looked like someone had very intentionally placed everything in the bag, zipped it up neatly, and put it down by the riverside to be found. It didn't have the look and feel of a backpack belonging to 2 missing people in the Panamanian jungle that's been missing for the past 3 months. It looked like it had just been grabbed off a shelf, put some stuff in it, and put down. But either way, inside there was, their sunglasses, there was a water bottle, there was some underwear that was in there, and their digital camera was in there, which is going to be really important. And both of
underwear. One thing that's kind of throwing me for a loop is the dog returned home.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder how far were they hiking? You know what I'm saying?
So you saying like they couldn't have gotten too far?
Or did somebody bring the dog back?
Because 9 times out of 10, everyone probably mainly know just about everyone.
Small area, a lot of 9
so
times out of 10
people
know people, everybody know each other. So, but it's like, why the dog? Because I doubt the dog's just gonna find his way back home. Not saying it is impossible.
A lot of dogs do,
but not in that short amount of time. It's the same day after a long hike away.
Well, maybe it wasn't. Maybe they didn't get that far.
So if they didn't get that far, how nobody knows nothing happened to them?
True.
So
right.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
right.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying if you put in I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Phones were in there, another really important part of this investigation. So when the initial search was conducted, it was done with a focus on the volcano area, because that's the last place the girls had been, at least as far as everybody understood. But now that they found this backpack 5 miles away, they had a new area to search. And so they start searching around the area around the backpack, and they quickly find some of the girls' clothing neatly folded on the side of a river, but no sign of the girls. And then another 2 months go by, and they finally locate in the same rough area that the clothes and the backpack were found. They actually discover some of the remains of the girls, that DNA confirms it was them. But it's the state that the remains were found in, and some of the other things that were found in conjunction with these remains that raise a lot of questions. So of the remains that were found, DNA proved that some of them were Chris Kremers and Lisa Ann Froon. DNA also showed that mixed in with some of the bone fragments and pieces of remains that were found were at least 3 other people's remains. So we're talking about 5 people's remains in the same area. Also, interestingly,
I don't know which ones was.
Scientists were able to look at the bones, and there were no scratches on the bones. So that's important if you think about it, because their bones were found all over the place. They had been, broken apart, right? Well, if an animal had been responsible, there would have been scratches all over the bones
marks,
because they would have broken the bones that way. Without those scratches, the only other way it could happen is if they've basically been pulverized, basically broken with blunt force. So obviously something horrible has happened to these 2 girls, but their remains really only show investigators that the women had died. It doesn't show how they died or really anything. And so investigators needed to look at the other evidence to try to get a...
Who were the other bones associated with?
Right.
Like, are those other people that became missing?
That has, yeah.
There's some.
In there.
There's some. I'll keep it to the end. But there's some sketch things going on, and I think the community knows.
Yeah.
And they know exactly.
Especially if 3 other people have went missing, or
some bones.
Now you find 3 other people's remains.
And then honestly,
like
I feel like the only reason why you got those remains because wherever the pile of remains are, some kind of way they're all getting tangled up and getting confused, and folks like just grab whatever and take. They ain't gonna know. Not thinking about DNA.
Sense of what actually happened. And so they look at the phone records and they can tell that on April 1st, when they started this hike initially, there is a string of distress calls that are sent within like an hour of the hike starting. So whatever happened to these girls happened almost immediately on their hike. None of those calls connect. Over the course of those first 4 days, as they're trying to reach...
What's that? Like, what's this 112? Attempt 1.
I think it's those are numbers, like the number that was dialed out.
Oh, 112 then. Somebody dialed out 911. Okay.
And then these are the times and the date.
So they
and
actually
this
was
is
alive.
The amount of times.
They were actually alive at some point.
Yeah. What you said at some point.
Yeah, I'm saying April. They went missing in March.
Yeah, April 1st. Okay. Oh, yeah. Or...
No. They probably went... Never mind. I'm probably got some
calls connect. Over the course of those first 4 days, as they're trying to reach help via their cell phone, nothing's connecting, and then Froon's phone dies. Kremer's phone does not, and they begin, they or she, begin turning it off and then turning it on sporadically to try to get reception. On April 6th, something interesting starts to happen. Somebody was trying to access Kremer's phone. There was multiple failed login attempts, and it got to the point where you weren't even allowed to input any more codes. It was just like locked, the phone locked. So somebody was unable to get into the phone. From April 7th to April 10th, there were 77 calls attempted, distress calls attempted. And then on April 11th, the phone died, and that was it. So in addition to the phone, they started looking at the camera. And so when you look at all the pictures they took, the beginning of the camera roll is this wonderful, montage of these 2 girls having this great time hiking up this volcano. And then as night begins to fall, you can tell that their expressions begin to change a little bit. It looks like you could begin to see that maybe something was wrong. Perhaps they're lost. We don't really know. But then there's no more pictures taken until April 8th. Over 90 pictures are taken between April 8th and April 10th, which is that period of time where all those distress calls were made on Kremer's phone before Kremer's phone finally died. The pictures are very strange. There's a lot of theories about why they took the pictures they did, but in a nutshell, the pictures, none of them include pictures of the girls, with the exception of one, which is the back of Kremer's head, and it appears to be bleeding. The rest are shots of the landscape, and they're all taken in total darkness. So they're in the middle of the jungle in total darkness, taking these pictures. There was one picture that looked like whatever gear they had been kind of lined up on a rock, and someone had taken a picture of it. There were pictures of candy wrappers, and there also was a picture that was like looking down into a ravine that perhaps was a picture of one of the girls down in the ravine. So it's unclear who's taking the pictures. It could be the girls, could be one of the girls, could be a third party, we don't know. And then there's a ton of speculation about one picture in particular. So picture 509, as it's been dubbed, because that was the number on the camera roll, was deleted from the camera. Now, that in and of itself is not particularly strange. It's not crazy to think that these girls might have deleted a picture, right? I mean, maybe they accidentally snapshot something and they just deleted it. But it was permanently deleted, right? So if you hit delete on a digital camera, it's deleted. But a professional with the right software could reconstruct that image if they plugged it into a computer. Now, in order to permanently remove it from your camera, the girls would have had to connect it to a laptop, to a computer, and wipe it that way. They didn't have access to a computer. So at most, they might have hit delete, but it still would have had that kind of archived, almost ghost image that a professional investigator could have reconstructed. But when they went to do that with this deleted image, it was wiped for good. So someone had managed to professionally wipe one picture. It was the last picture on the camera roll. So the pervading theory here is that these girls got lost and fell to their death. But to me, that's totally unsatisfactory. I believe they were murdered. And I think it's because there's just too many things indicating that foul play was involved. How did they go 5 miles across incredibly rugged terrain that even amongst Navy SEALs, that would be a very difficult distance to cover, even with all the right equipment? How did they, without the right equipment, not knowing the area, without a guide, without even flashlights, how did they do that? And then let's just assume they managed to go the 5 miles, okay? They fall to their death. Why are their remains, 1, incomplete, and 2, scattered and mixed in with other people's remains? Why were Kremer's bones bleached? And why weren't there scratch marks on the bones? I mean, you would think that in order for if they've fallen off this cliff, let's say, in order for their remains to be scattered all over the place and be dismembered, that an animal would have to be involved if there's no foul play involved. Mm-hmm. And there's no scratch marks on the bones, so an animal couldn't have done it. So there's lots of questions that go unanswered. And then if you look at those pictures again, it seems an awful lot like somebody else was taking those pictures. Somebody was trying to access Kremer's phone towards the end there, and someone looks like they were using their camera as well. And then, the backpack that was found, it just seems like it was kind of staged. But then again, like, to what end? Why were they giving away the camera and the phone, which kind of led them to thinking probably this is foul play? Why would they have placed the backpack? That doesn't really exonerate anybody. It actually just adds more questions about the case. So the whole thing is just very confusing, but the narrative that they simply got lost and fell, to me, seems like the most far-fetched thing out of all the theories. So that's going to do it, guys. If you liked this, please like and subscribe. I'll be doing...
Before I chime in, would you like to... Because I got hella theories.
Oh, I was just going to say, just piggybacking off of what he said, with the backpack. I'm thinking that the backpack was just there as, a distraction or to throw him off or whatever a case may be. Even, with them giving the camera, I'm pretty sure, with the months that they headed or however long they headed, that they went probably through every possible picture that they could have and removed anything that may have, implemented, hey, if they would see an image of someone maybe or whatever the case, because from the images there was nothing to give away as to if it was someone, who it was or whatever the case may be. So given the camera and the backpack and all everything like that, that's not really giving away anything. I think that was just placed there as a distraction or to basically steer them in another direction or to give them some type of false hope. I don't know what the case may be, as far as that, but I do think that it was foul play as well, just because of how their remains were even found. So, there was no way that I feel like they fell to, he said, fell to their death or whatever, and your remains just being scattered everywhere and then found amongst 3 other people's remains. And I think we're ignoring that fact. I don't know why that was... Well, I don't know if it was ever brought up, honestly, as far as, looked more into when they did, the investigation and stuff like that.
Well, the 3 other people remains... If they want to roll with that, I guess this is a place where typically people fall and they fall to their death. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, I guess a lot of them fall. But why haven't y'all investigated this one area?
Oh, and then Chris remains being found with the bleach, because I guess I had missed that part as well. Yeah. But anyway, go ahead.
No, I was going to say just that doesn't make sense, because then while these other 3 people that remains were also found with them incomplete. Because then their remains are incomplete as well. We need to be able to fully identify those 3 people. One thing I'll say is, it's a possibility they were kidnapped that day. My thing is, all right, we need to look into a couple things. Are there also possibly communities of people in that area that live off the grid, or those people who are not? I don't know how to say it. Like, you know how like they be off in the jungles and it, like they're not amongst the society of people. You get what I'm saying? Is it do we have any of those people? Like, I forgot the right term to say it.
Yeah.
But do we have any of those people living in the jungles? Because typically that's the areas that they live in, right? One thing thought that came across my mind with the photos was because it was at night. Were they taking photos to be able to see? Like, constantly taking photos to kind of see as they go. Because it's a possibility they were running from someone and afraid. So they're trying to, instead of turning the light on,
flashlight.
Instead of turning the light on the phone, snapping multiple pictures at one time.
Yeah.
To get the flash.
Yeah.
But that will alert people to know where you at. So I was like, possibly not. 2, somebody took their phone and had to make it look like they're observing. Oh, we need you to go take photos like a tourist.
Yeah.
They're not tourists, so they don't even know how tourists will even take photos.
Yeah.
We're tourists. We're not taking photos, just random photos. They're probably in their mind, tourists typically take random photos. They're not understanding the concept of how tourists take photos. You get what I mean? So I do believe the whole crime from the phone to the, I think they were able to access some things, but the phone they couldn't access. The girls were dead. Because at one point I thought maybe one died, the other got the phone, was trying to get into the phone, couldn't get into the phone. That's the reason why the phone locked up. But still, I still at the end of the day believe that foul play is involved.
Yeah, most definitely.
Foul play 100% is involved. Just don't know how. Like, I can't necessarily answer like, okay, this is what happened. That's the reason why this, that. You know what I'm saying? But strongly believe foul play is involved. I hate something like that happen. My biggest thing is, especially when you're doing mission trips and you're going doing stuff like this, 2 is not enough.
Yeah.
2 women, girls, whatever you want to call it, is not enough. There always needs to be at least 1 or 2 men amongst the group, just for force or look of force. But there also needs to be at least four people. At least 4 people amongst the group.
Yeah.
I don't think 2 is safe enough. I don't think 3 is safe enough. I think at least 4, and hopefully more.
Yeah.
Because there have been too many situations where people are visiting other countries and again, even larger groups of people are getting taken. So 2 young girls, y'all not experienced with this area, y'all went by yourself, made y'all 100% vulnerable.
Yeah, most definitely.
And that was the biggest red flag I got from the trip. I'm like, it's 2 of y'all going to a country y'all never been before. Y'all say y'all going on a mission trip to a small area country. They're not 100% protecting y'all like that. Because at the end of the day, if I know you're going on, if I'm in that situation, just my logical thinking, how I am now, I'm not gonna let y'all hype by yourself, no matter what. Even who knows, the mission trip thing could be a disguise to get people to come there, and they doing harm to people. You get what I mean? Like, hey, come here, you help out the locals, and then they doing whatever. You know what I'm saying? Countries, a lot of third world countries do a lot of crazy things. We done seen too many stories where people just go missing and stuff happening. It happens too often not to say, hey, it's a possibility. You get what I mean? I just, with the photos, do you believe so you believe that neither girl took those photos?
I didn't think about that. They possibly could have, but it's the thing. I just feel like it's so much I don't know because we don't even. No one really know. Well, it wasn't stated as far as like we don't know how long they were even alive, or if they were kidnapped, then how long did the kidnappers keep them alive, or did something happen to them on April 1st? Like, it's just so much I don't know to say if they took the photos or not took the photos. That's the only thing. But possibly not. But my only other thing is if they did take the photos, as to maybe the question as to why were they taking, like, just random photos like that. If we go back and say, oh, well, they were just using it for light. But they did have their phones as well. But at the same time, I don't know. Honestly, with that, because I was thinking about that. I was like, are they the one, when he was showing the photos, I was like, are they the ones taking these photos? Like in the beginning when he showed the girl, I do think that they were taking the photos, but all the random of just like the landscape.
Yeah, like the 90 some photos.
Yeah.
Those were not, honestly, those are not their photos. I'll say this, because if you see the even if we're lost and we're taking photos, one of our frames is one of us will be in the frame of the picture.
Yeah.
The only picture shows the back of one of them head.
Yeah.
And it looks as it bleed.
Yeah.
I think they tried to fix it, like, you need to take a photo of one, and, like, you know what I'm saying?
To make it seem as though, yeah. So to answer your question, no, I don't think that they were the ones taking all them other photos. Yeah. No.
Same here. I don't think they were at all. I think everything was just, they tried. Especially with the locals not coming, people know. People know what happened. And it's happening often.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, especially when you have, because I'm still, me personally, I'm just still stuck on the three.
The other three, yeah.
And I'm like, who are these other three people? And has any, like, coverage been, like, done on these other three people? As far as, like, because that's stuff that I would want to know if I'm visiting somewhere, that 3 other people done went missing 6 months before I even show up here, or however. I'm just making up a...
But the bones being bleached is a red flag.
That's definitely a red flag.
That's a big red flag. That is somebody who's trying to wipe off either their DNA on the bones or trying to wipe away their DNA to almost impossible to identify. And that could be lack of knowledge of you them at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't know. It's just so, I don't know. With this one, it's just so much.
Or did they take a photo of something, right? Mm-hmm. Or they see something they weren't supposed to see, and so now we have to kill y'all. Could be a situation like that, especially in those type of countries. If you stumble across something hiking, you don't know if they were already kidnapping somebody, torturing somebody, some drug stuff going on. They were afraid.
And they ran into something that,
and they thought y'all was gonna tell.
Yeah, with a story like this, when you have so many, like, I guess, missing pieces and not really having a lot to go off of,
you can speculate all day long.
You can go whichever way with it. Yeah. So, but definitely rest in peace to them. It's sad.
The family would never get the proper answers.
And I wonder, is there, like, any update on it, like, now?
I don't think the family.
I doubt it.
I don't think, because if the family was going to get any answers, they would have already got the answers.
Yeah.
And the family will never get the proper answers they deserve.
Yeah.
Because it sounds and looks like a cover-up. Mm-hmm. And we're going to protect ours before we protect yours. And that's another reason why, like, you got to be very careful when you're traveling outside of your comfort, outside of your home.
Yeah.
Because the only people that's really going to care about their own is your own people.
Yeah.
But hey, man, y'all spam us up in the comments, man. Let us know y'all thoughts and opinions about it in the comments. This is a good one I would like to hear y'all thoughts about, or if someone else has done other research.
Yeah, have any further information.
Yeah, I would love to hear that, man. But as always, man, y'all know how it goes. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my folks. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners.